Hello, and welcome to the Daily Space for today, Wednesday, June 17th, 2020. I am your host, Annie Wilson. Most Mondays through Fridays, our team will be here putting science into your brain. Usually, Wednesdays are for Rocket Roundup, and we had 3 launches this past week. Let's get to it, shall we? So, first up, on June 10th at 6:31 p.m. UTC, a Long March to Charlie rocket launched the Haiyang 1 Delta oceanography satellite from the T1 Space Center in northern China's Shanxi province. This was the first launch from Taiwan since the middle of January. The US military confirms the rocket placed the payload into a 775-kilometer altitude in a sun-synchronous orbit, and Chinese officials declared the launch a success. The 442 kilograms satellite was built by CAST, a subsidiary of CASC, and joins Haiyang 1 Charlie in observing ocean surface temperatures as well as ocean colors, which can provide clues to near surface chemistry and marine life. Haiyang is Mandarin for ocean, and 1 Delta is the 6th satellite in the series. Satellite also includes an automatic identification system for tracking of ocean-going craft, and its visual imaging systems will support coastal and ocean resource management and disaster management planning. The rocket featured modified fairing halves built by Cout, another subsidiary of CASC. These consisted of an added X-shaped support structure to prevent deformation and flexing during re-entry. An optical sensor was added to provide data on the conditions experienced during descent. These modifications follow on to the addition of grid fins seen attached to the first stage in last July's launch of a Long March to Charlie, intended to steer the spent vehicle away from populated areas. There were no fins on this rocket's first stage, according to images of it during launch operations. You may wonder, as I did, how did they get 6 satellites out of Haiyang 1 Charlie and Haiyang 1 Delta? Surely this is the 4th satellite. Turns out the Haiyang 1 series contains one set of instruments, the observations of which augment those of the Haiyang 2 series. Series 1 focuses more on the optical wavelengths and near infrared. Series 2 has various radars which detect ocean surface topography and wind speeds directions, as well as longer wavelength infrared instruments to detect ocean temperatures. Haiyang 2 Bravo is part of this series and is currently operational. Please watch your ears. Next up, at 5:12 a.m. UTC on June 13th, an Electron rocket launched the Don't Stop Me Now mission from Rocket Lab's spaceport on the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand. Here is the mission patch for this flight. It features 3 stars, and I am going to venture out and assume that each of those stars stands for each of the 3 organizations that launched missions on this rocket. So, the payloads were andesite, NRO, and M2 Pathfinder satellites. Andesite, which stands for, wait for it, Ad Hoc network demonstration for extended satellite-based inquiry and other team endeavors. That's a really long name. Was created by electrical and mechanical engineering students and professors at Boston University. Its purpose, according to Rocket Lab's press release, is to study Earth's magnetic field with onboard sensors and later release smaller satellites with more sensors to track electric currents flowing in and out of the atmosphere, a phenomenon also known as space weather. The 3 National Reconnaissance Office satellites were all designed, built, and operated by the NRO. We really don't have any other info because, well, it's the NRO. The M2 Pathfinder is a demonstration satellite and collaboration between the University of New South Wales, Canberra Space, and the Australian government. Its purpose is to test the ability of an onboard software-based radio to operate and reconfigure while in orbit. The Don't Stop Me Now mission was named in memory and recognition of Rocket Lab board member Scott Smith, who was also a big Queen fan. Please watch your ears. Rocket launches are loud.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vehicles clear the pad.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Well, after a brief hiatus, Electron is back in the skies heading to orbit. At T plus 35 seconds into flight, we're coming up to one of the first milestones of any mission to space, passing max Q. This is the point at which Electron will experience the highest amount of aerodynamic force on its way to orbit. Let's listen into the call from Mission Control.
Coming up on maximum dynamic pressure. Pass through max Q.
Stage 1 propulsion is holding nominal. Stand by.
And there you
for
have it.
roughly
Electron has
30
cleared
seconds.
max Q.
Max Q is the point of most aerodynamic pressure on the rocket. We will also see MECO, that's main engine cutoff.
Entering burnout detect mode.
AOS Chatham Station.
Coming up next is main engine cutoff, or MECO, which occurs when the 9 Rutherford engines shut down after exhausting their fuel reserves. Upon shutdown, the empty stage is jettisoned so that stage 2 can ignite and continue on its journey to low Earth orbit.
30 seconds remaining. Altitude is 50 kilometers, speed is 1.6 kilometers per second. Ten seconds to staging.
MECO confirmed.
Stage 2 ignition confirmed.
Stage ignition successful.
There's that first stage separating from the craft.
That's the call we're looking for. We've had successful MECO, clean separation of Electron's first stage, and ignition of the vacuum-optimized Rutherford engine on Electron's second stage. We're approaching T+3 minutes into this mission with fairing separation coming
Fairing
up next.
separation complete.
And we should be able to see those flying past the camera as well, maybe. Yep, there goes one half, and there goes the
And
other
there it
half.
is on your screen. The fairing has separated, clearing the way for payload
Stage
deployment,
nominal.
which occurs approximately 1 hour
Stage 2
after
propulsion is
liftoff.
nominal.
There you go. A few hours later, and halfway across the world, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 at 9:21 a.m. UTC with an additional 58 satellites for the growing Starlink constellation. According to Planet Labs' statement on the launch, the 3 SkySats will provide high-resolution imaging available to a variety of governmental, commercial, academic, and nonprofit organizations. They'll join a constellation of 15 other SkySats. Usually Starlink satellites are launched in batches of 60, but because of the rideshare agreement, there were only 58 Starlinks, so to make room for the 3 SkySats. This was the first rideshare of a Starlink launch, and there are more planned. The Starlink constellation now has 535 satellites, with 418 of them launched this year. Please watch your ears.
T-minus 15 seconds.
We'll see
Falcon
launch.
9 is configured for flight.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of Falcon 9 and Starlink Ocho.
T plus 40 seconds into flight, and Falcon 9 has just had a successful liftoff.
Telemetry are nominal.
A successful liftoff from pad 40 for its first Starlink rideshare, carrying 3 Planet SkySats and our SpaceX Starlink satellites. Next coming up will be Max Q.
Mach 1.
And that is the maximum aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle sees, the largest structural load that the vehicle sees throughout ascent.
Max Q.
And there's that call out that we just passed through Max Q. Next up will be 3 events happening back to back, and that will be MECO, or main engine cutoff, stage separation, as well as second engine start, or SES-1. Main engine cutoff, or MECO, is when all 9 of the M1D engines shut off and slow the vehicle down in preparation for the next event, which is stage separation. And stage separation is where the first stage separates from the second stage, with first stage making its way back to Earth and second stage taking our satellites to their targeted orbit. And then finally will be SES-1, which is second engine start, with that MVAC engine lighting up and taking those
Vehicle is following a nominal trajectory.
and taking those satellites to orbit. Now those 3 events are coming up here in about 15 seconds. Again, that is MECO, stage separation, and SES-1.
MECO. Stage separation confirmed.
There it goes. All right. And they mentioned how they were going to land the first stage. Of course, we got video of that.
Stage 2 has entered terminal guidance.
Stage 1 landing burn has started.
And that landing burn has begun on the first stage. Again, this will last about 20 seconds long. Let's wait and watch to see if we can land this booster
Stage
for
2
a third
FTS
time.
is saved.
Stage 1 landing legs have deployed.
Wow, and we got a live, awesome view.
And
touchdown.
stage 1 is landed. Landing operators proceed to 11.100 on recovery 1 and ECF 9.
And there you heard that call out, and you can see on your left screen that stage 1 has landed on Of Course I Still Love You. We are waiting for stage 2 for SECO 1, which is second engine cutoff. What an awesome view of that first stage.
And we have satellite separation. So these are all the Starlinks that are just stacked up.
Should be hearing a call out for the first SkySat shortly.
SkySat 1 separation confirmed.
And there's that confirmation that that first SkySat has deployed. Now these 3 SkySats. Oh, and it looks like we can actually see there's that first SkySat satellite. Pretty awesome view. We should hear a call out for the second one here shortly. They're deploying in about 30-second increments here.
SkySat 2 separation confirmed.
And there's the confirmation for the second SkySat. And since we saw the first one, I think we should be able to see that second one shortly here as well. And there you can see it. Very cool views today. Now we just are waiting for that third and final SkySat here shortly.
SkySat 3 separation confirmed.
And there's confirmation of separation of that final SkySat. These 3 SkySats will be joining 15 already in orbit, and 3 more will be deploying on a separate Starlink mission later this summer, completing their fleet of 21 SkySats.
All right, to wrap things up, here's a running tally of a few space flight statistics for the current year. There are currently 4 toilets in space. We've burned up 2 toilets in the atmosphere. There are, wait for it, 541 satellites that humans have put into orbit just this year. And directly from launches are 525 of those. There have been 43 launch attempts so far this year, including 5 failures. I keep track of orbital launches by where they launched from, otherwise known as spaceport. Here's that breakdown. USA 15, China 13, Kazakhstan 4, Russia 3, French Guiana 2, Iran 2, Japan 2, and New Zealand 2. Your useless space fact for the week is that astronauts left poop on the moon so they could make room to bring back more lunar samples.